I will entertain a motion to accept the meeting notes as read from the last meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. And the big issue today, there are a couple of issues, but the big issue today is what we do with domestic violence trust, and I want to just give a little background, okay? A long time ago, the Domestic Violence Trust was established, and in one of their expenses, they spent $5,000 putting the statue in front of the library of the little girl reading to the little boy. Bob Hall, who was a commissioner at that time, objected to that as being a proper expense of this trust, okay? Now, as a consequence of that, the then head nurse or person in charge of the.
Joe Garden Judgment. How did they spend that money if one of the commissioners was objecting? They spend money.
I don't know, money was spent without
A
knowledge,
lot of times they spend money and then ask for.
and then asked for
reimbursement,
donation.
I see,
which is what's happening now.
right.
So they spent the money. And it was objected to. The head of the nursing, the director of Health and Human Resources at that time went back to the lawyer. And the lawyer said, no, it was appropriate expenditure, okay?
Really?
Yeah, no. This is politics, folks, we gotta, so it was accepted. Then Bob Hall said to the director, from this point forward, you ought to come to us with a letter or a note telling us how you intend to spend the money in the future year. Okay, which they began doing that. You remember having Tim McDonald coming in, this is what we want to do. I don't know when,
So that's a legacy of the fact that they once used the system, but spent money on something they shouldn't have spent, and then sounds like there was a legal fight over it, and the town just kind of gave up and acceded to letting them do it. Is that correct?
well, the commissioners did, yeah. And so we asked them to send us, to come and tell us how they intend to spend the money, and we'd approve it in advance. So they go ahead and do that. And a lot of what they did was having luncheons where they discussed domestic violence to people. And, you know, having lunches with their best friends, et cetera. Which is fine, you know, I mean, it was a, and then they decided to do some other things. We had asked them to kindly make a donation to a safe house. As you know, safe houses exist around here. Only the Board of Health and the police department know where those safe houses
You
are.
said we asked them to make a donation.
Yeah. To a safe house, in any safe house.
Right, but what?
No, as part of their expenditures, that would be a good expenditure for them to do. And they did that for a number of years.
We suggested it to them.
Yeah. We can suggest to people how they spend their money. It's
Okay.
perfectly fine.
All right.
I have other ideas that they should do too. A lot of people don't know that they're in a town such as Needham, and this was true the last time I asked. There are about 70 to 75, what do you call this, restraining orders exist. And this is true of all the towns, Wayland's the same thing. Again, this was something I found out 10 years ago by asking a police officer. They'll never tell you who or what or where the safe houses are, but they will tell you that piece of information. And I always thought it would be a good idea if we had a policeman go and knock on the door and have a cup of coffee with the abused person every once in a while, you know, just to let them know that they are being watched and protected, if you will. But that hasn't gone anywhere. That was a suggestion, I might add, that was made by the police chief of the town of Needham, at the time was a friend of mine. He said, why don't you pay for a policeman to go and knock on a few doors and have a cup of coffee with confused.
I mean, from these funds,
Yeah. So the point is, Tim was asked to come and tell us how we intended to spend the money. In fact, we were the ones who called him up and asked him, you haven't been using your money, what are what are you gonna do? And this is what we've come up with, so we have to, I guess, approve this, right?
Right,
Uh,
yeah,
And then I think we should ask them again to come to our next meeting. And explain to them that we would like to see them. Give us their budget for the next year and how they intend to use it. The second question is, if we read.
Sorry, is there a document you're looking at that has their plan for the next year?
Oh, not for the next year. The one that I emailed to you with the one that's requesting the funds, I had that, but nothing has been submitted as a budget.
Okay,
So I actually have.
Well, but part of these are FY 23, so.
Yeah.
He's looking for money for the same year that these expenses are happening.
Right.
And
So how is this procedure different from the likes of these invoices that I would take to the meeting every, like, if these are past expenses, haven't these already been approved through the invoice?
These haven't been approved.
if we don't approve them, he has to figure out how to cover them, so.
I was gonna say, so I'm wondering where the funds came from then initially.
I think he has a budget, but I assume that's where they come from.
Okay.
Couple of observations.
Okay,
One, he said, you know, the last one was 50, which I confirmed. I looked back at my notes. The last one was, 2020, fiscal year 2020. He's asking for funds for 2022 and 23 together. But he's basically foregoing the ones for 2021, which he never asked for. Secondly, because he never came to us, he just kept the scholarship at 600, when in fact we were right below 700, which is rounded down to 600. So it would have been 700 for the last couple of years.
And how is that adjusted, Hayden?
By inflation,
Okay,
CPI,
CPI,
yeah.
yeah, he wants to adjust it by inflation, and clearly it should be a bigger scholarship, and that's the other issue. So how do we suggest we go through with this?
And you wanna look at the specific expenses?
I've looked at the expenses and they all seem to be reasonable and okay,
Okay,
as far as I'm concerned. I would vote yes if the vote came out, or when the vote comes out. Have you looked at the expenses?
I looked at them earlier and I'm looking at them again now, they all seem in line with the expectations we tried.
I do believe that total, the $10,304.08 is off by $300.
so you checked his math?
Yeah, I'm the treasurer.
It's good.
It's too high or too low?
It should be $10,604.08. Given by what's listed in the expenses for each year,
And what did he say it was?
$10,304.
Sounds like a typo to me.
Yeah,
When,
because it's not a,
where is the total that he gave?
so it's just a one line, it's not even like, so there's two totals by year.
Right,
But then he had said recent spending has totaled 10,304.
above that?
Yeah, just above the FY 22 spreadsheet type.
Oh, yeah, okay. And you're saying the total actually is 10,604?
Yeah.
That's
Okay, all right, so, how do we wanna go about doing this?
I'd say we approve him, given that he's asking for less than he's actually due.
Approve the 10,300 or the 10,600?
10,600.
Okay,
And also I think we should let him know, actually. 2,600. Well, hold on, I just want to see what it was last time.
no, it was 10, it was 10 dollars.
No, I want to see the amount. It was 6340 3 years ago.
Oh, did he ask for?
Yeah. Or that we approved, basically. You know, so he's still asking for less, even for these 2 years, than he's really due. Because even if you don't adjust for inflation, it's 6340 per year.
Are we even one step removed here? So look at the language. It says they want $5,000 a year adjusted for inflation to be given to the Needham Domestic Violence Action Committee to spend as it determines. So we're sort of stepping in almost as a middleman here, and you know, we're doing the disbursement, but this kind of says like we should just be dispersing every year on autopilot, and then it's on them to spend it.
Is there an actual committee, domestic violence action committee?
I think that committee has. Well, no, they stay here, there doesn't have to be conversations, lunch and learn, number one, they have that.
Alright,
They keep having those.
And it's possible this domestic violence action committee, if it were here, says, well, we're just a committee, we don't have a bank account or anything, or any controls over money movement or anything like that.
I think we should approve the amounts. And then insist that they send that Tim show up at our next meeting or a subsequent meeting before we approve another amount.
are they looking for another amount?
No, but they will be next year.
Okay.
But we want to tell him about the scholarship, that he's not,
Scholarship.
that he should not renege on the scholarship.
Right, also, he included the scholarship in this.
Yeah.
The 63,
Which is
whatever I
supposed to be
said,
above and, you know.
right, the scholarship is actually a separate item. So, I mean, he's actually
Yeah.
looking for a lot less than.
Yeah.
Could potentially get.
I believe that scholarship for this year was approved over the summer as well,
Yes,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it was 600 and we of course don't have this letter in our minds, you know,
Right.
we didn't know that it should have been 700. And I think we very much want the scholarship to be as large as reasonable and possible.
Yeah.
So, so let us, so then therefore I'll look for this type of a motion. That we approve the amount requested by the domestic, by Tim McDonald and the guy in the Bigwood Trust. And that we request that they attend the next meeting for us to discuss future amounts to be paid and reasons for such payments.
Did you say you make a motion?
Yeah.
I second.
I said, no, I said, so
You're,
I'm requesting a motion.
and I'll make a motion to pay the invoices or to pay this letter in the proper amount,
And
irrespective of the typo, and to, as you said, insist that Tim come to a future meeting.
Or his delegate.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay, so we can go over what they should be doing, okay, to make this work well.
And again, the way I read this is we're
Supposed to be giving them.
just supposed to be dispersed, giving it to them, and then they're supposed to be in charge of spending, so we're sort of stepping into a role here.
Well, I know, and I'm trying to avoid that, and the roll was 5,000 a year adjusted for inflation since 2004. That would be a huge amount today, would
What's
it not?
CPI since 2004?
Well, the amount at the last meeting, answering this in a little different way. Amount at the last meeting, which was 3 years ago, 6340, not counting the scholarship. I looked it up, since then, inflation is 18% roughly. So another, like 20% would be, well,
7,500,
so call it another, 7,500.
okay, and as of now. Keep that number in mind. As of March of 2022. The value of the domestic trust fund was $430,000. So clearly that could support a lot more,
Mm.
that expenditure and the scholarship with ease. Right. So let's get them over here so that we can do it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think we're on the same page based on the comments, but I assume we want to encourage him that he could spend more, right? As long as it's on useful things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to just take in this
I know,
domestic action
I
committee
know.
out to lunch,
I know,
Yeah,
I know.
Right.
you know.
But
I'd like
there's
to
also
say,
some very open-ended language here. The rest of the money would remain. The rest of the money would remain in the trust until a domestic violence need arises that the Board of Health would vote to spend money on. So.
don't go over that with
It's,
I think, but, you know, I'm happy to see things like they're putting in security doorbells for people.
What we should know about this, though, if he comes to us at some point with, this sounds like. It's envisioning if there were ever a proposal for a bigger project or a big expenditure, and it sounds like. The Board of Health is kind of the opposite, like they don't have,
We're not thinking big.
yeah, they're not really thinking about this, I mean, maybe they're focused on COVID, I don't know.
Well, I think their perception, first of all, they probably should have come and asked for money sooner and more. But I think their perception is like they're limited to kind of roughly what we've given them in the past, 6,000 or so. But as you said, as it's written, if they had something really big that they wanted to do, this would allow them to do it. And going back to the point of,
If they don't do anything bigger, then this thing is,
It's
this
just gonna
fund is
keep
just gonna keep growing, if they're withdrawing, 1 to 2% per year,
right,
empirically, it's gonna grow.
Yeah, in the past, they have hired interns in the summertime to do certain projects that we've approved that were beyond the commitment that we had. Yeah, right, so that has happened. Okay, so, did we get a second for that motion? I think we did.
I seconded in case I didn't.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, I said that, okay, all right.
I'll reach out to the committee and invite them to the next meeting. See what that's the schedule, unless you wanted to do that, Joe. I'm happy
No, I
to, okay.
But I mean, they're all welcome, but I don't, we don't wanna make them feel like they all need to come.
Right, no, I mean, there's 4, it appears on the committee, I'll extend the invite, and one of them probably will be the representative. I'll just
But we
send
would like to talk to Tim and tell him, look, make it easy for us to deal with you and instead of difficult. And, you have so much money that you have each year, and, we care how you spend it. And
So I won't mention the budget request ahead of expenses for the next meeting, that can be something that's discussed with him at the next meeting.
Well, no, we approved it, so you can tell them.
Right, but Joe had mentioned about setting the budget, like coming in with some kind of a budget prepared for what the expenses were going to be.
Oh, you're talking about for this,
for the future, yeah.
For the future, Joe had
Yeah.
mentioned.
but we've already kind of covered this year, because this is for fiscal year 23.
Yeah.
So, but for the future.
Yeah, and we'd like them to come with a letter telling, in general, the plans that they have for the future use.
So you would like that document for the next meeting?
Not necessarily for the next meeting, but we want them
Or-
here.
okay.
We're gonna tell
We'll
them
discuss it.
that document is something that we would like to have.
Okay.
We don't want them putting another statue in front of a school. Yeah, what else was on the agenda? Oh, we have to sign some papers.
Yes, invoices, primarily library, I believe, this time around.
Today is 9/21.
Yep.
And maybe actually could sign off on one of these as well, too. I'm not sure the procedure for this one specifically, but that's just a signature on there, should it be needed. Along for the, before Jada.
Oh, yes, okay. Um. And Dunkin' Donuts. Library. Does anyone know why the head librarian left? She left,
Didn't have to look.
Watertown,
Yeah.
and maybe it's because she lives closer to Watertown, which is what I suspect, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure of the,
Wasn't she very new?
think two.
Yeah, she's only been here about a year,
I think maybe a little bit longer, maybe 2 years, but
okay?
see a pencil, I didn't, but, okay.
Library book sale this weekend.
You know, I used to go to that fairly regularly, and I found out just collecting books. I didn't read, I only read once, maybe one out of the 3 books I would buy there.
Well, I'm in the process now of being, running down something stuff.
Right, so you're
Yeah.
gonna get rid of all those
You
books.
know,
again.
I've never liked rereading books, my kids really do.
Mine do too.
Sometimes they actually really like these book fairs.
Mhm.
They find one they like, they'll read it 4 or 5 times.
Easily, yep.
Wow,
I,
The Harry Potter books or something, they've each read all of them 10 times.
well, I belong to the Civil War Roundtable and, I must have 200 Civil War books at home. Today I'm taking 10 of them and bringing them to the Civil War Roundtable for them to sell for their preservation efforts. Now, was there anything else on the agenda?
Any other business not anticipated?
I have just a comment to make and see, ask you to comment on it. Bob Popio. If you recall, he was the general manager of Mintz Levin, a law firm in town. Very wealthy man. He died. And in his obituary, I read that he left with a major scholarship to Boston College for a person who wanted to study law. Okay. And Bob was, and I knew him personally. He was a great guy. He was a good guy. I was in the pool and racket club. And he was in there with me also. And I'm wondering why he didn't leave anything to the town of Needham. And then I go to Beth Israel Hospital here, and it's Jim Mahoney's name. Jim Mahoney put the elevator into Beth Israel. Why hasn't he left any money to the town of Needham? Okay, he had a venture capital hedge fund. And I'm saying that is there a role for us to try to get the word out? We at one time talked about using the news from Needham once in a while, throwing in some sort of a comment in the hopes of letting the people of Needham know that this organization does in fact exist. And I just want to know what your thoughts are. I mean,
yeah, I mean, we've done kind of marketing, if you will,
yeah,
at times, we did the brochure.
we did the brochure. I talked to a couple of organizations. I talked about the senior center.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, it's good, I mean, I was here a long time before I even knew, like, that was an option, that you could donate to
Yeah.
the trust fund to the town.
We have that little
So-
fund coming in for the library, if you
Right.
recall that fellow.
Right.
Yeah. Is there anything to report on that?
You would know.
I have not heard anything.
You haven't gotten the letter yet,
Nope.
okay. So, maybe we can all think about how we can put together a little comment for the news from News in Needham.
Did we have something in there once before?
No, we
No.
never did. We said we were going to. We asked them if they would allow us to, and they said that we could. Now, hope maybe by November we can put something in, so someone might want to give us a Christmas present. Hanukkah present, sorry.
Took me a second, I just caught it. I was typing out things. Yeah, I mean, you know, let's think about it. The other thing we could possibly do is get an article in the Needham Observer, the new online.
Right,
I was
good
gonna
idea.
suggest that as a. You know, they're always looking for
Yeah,
content,
particularly
and
when that donation comes in from the library fellow,
we should profile
let
it.
us know. We'll try to get them to profile it for the spectator.
That's a good idea.
Are we talking News You Needham or Needham Observer?
Observer.
That would be for the Needham Observer. We
Okay.
still want to do something in the Needham.
News You Needham. Okay,
We may want to spread those out, you know, let's
Yeah.
do the Observer, and then maybe a few months later do the News from Needham.
be a while before we hit the $12 million mark and have our cake. You haven't been around for a cake yet, have you?
I have not been around for a cake yet,
When did we
no.
hit 10 million?
It was a couple of years ago.
I don't think when that was.
Get your picture in the newspaper and everything else. It's big stuff.
Whatever it's
I
called.
was gonna
these
say whatever
days.
the medium may be, right?
We talk about next meeting.
Yes, we're supposed to do something else first. Okay. Next meeting is October. And are we still on Wednesdays and Thursdays?
I'd rather Thursday.
Okay, we'll pick that.
Yep, I'm good with Thursday.
The 12th is Columbus Day. Some people use another name.
October 12th is a Thursday.
Yeah.
What's that? What did you say again?
October 12th is a Thursday.
Right. You said something about Columbus Day though.
That's Columbus Day.
Is it
Oh, no, they
celebrate it on Monday.
Monday.
It's Monday because it's a Norfolk holiday or is it, a Suffolk holiday? I don't know. It's a semi-holiday.
They moved them all to Monday, so.
I think the banks are closed in Suffolk County on that day.
Yeah, that's a confusing holiday.
Yeah.
Markets are open.
19th
It's
or the
open, banks
26th?
are closed, which is a rare thing. What day?
19th or the 26th?
I can't do the 26th.
19th?
19th?
I probably can do the 19th. And we're going to Florida either that day or the next day, but I think it's the next day.
Okay. We'll make it a brief meeting.
I don't care about that. I just want to, be sure I'm here. So we can do the 19th. I should know in the next week whether, it's gonna be a problem.
Okay, if it's not on a Thursday, what day do you prefer?
Monday
Okay,
or Friday.
all right, so if it's not the 19th, we'll make it the 16th.
It's fine.
Okay,
16th.
That I can't do.
Yeah, no, me either.
All right, why don't we just make it the 19th and
Okay.
then we'll
all right.
figure out if it's gonna work. As of now, I think it will.
Okay, 4 o'clock?
4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Now it's 10.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned at. 4:30.
So it